Hello, everyone. My name is Iryna Osadcha. I am Refugee Health and Community Outreach Specialist within the Center for Immigrants Refugee Health as at the Public Health Institute program. We are based in California, and our center is dedicated to supporting community-based organization and school district. We specialize in developing programs and that empower newcomers to thrive across the entire state. And today I have a distinct privilege of introducing our guest speaker, Rocio Preciado, the career pathway innovation strategist at Immigrants Rising. And founded in 2020 or 2006, Immigrants Rising is an organization that transforms life and fuels systematic change, and by providing essential resources, support that ensure that undocumented individuals can pursue their higher education and build meaningful careers and create a brighter future for themselves and also for their communities. And please join me, Rocio. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Iryna. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you so much for having me here to be able to share a wealth of information and resources. And I've been here at the organization for over 10 years, and I've had the opportunity to not only lead programs and really help identify some of the needs for undocumented students, which, as we know, change over time. But also supporting in some of the implementations and some of those programmings as well. So looking forward to sharing some of those learning lessons and resources that you all as practitioners can bring with you to your students and other colleagues as well, and being able to share some of this information that can be applicable to your work. Now, one of the things that I would like to first acknowledge is our Immigrants Rising home base, which is the Ramaitosh Ohlone people's land. And we do like to acknowledge where we're at as we, as an organization, work with the intersection of immigration, economic justice, and academic and economic mobility. We do this to make this acknowledgement and awareness and commitment to undoing the ways in which settler colonialism and capitalism have and continue to destroy indigenous land and many times harm all of marginalized communities, including the people that we served. And we see this as something that continues to happen as we get to see and live in this land. And if we would like to invite you to acknowledge where you are at and where you're based. And if you are interested in learning the land that you're on, you're welcome to visit nativeland.ca. Now, as Iryna mentioned, here at Immigrants Rising, one of the things that we strive for is to ensure that everyone, regardless of immigration status, is able to thrive regardless of status, and to ensure that the people that we're serving, the communities that we're serving in immigrant communities, are able to tap into their full potential. That way they're able to pursue their educational and their career goals. And we do so by tapping not only at the institutional level and the policy transformation, but also a key part of our work is a personal transformation that comes with connecting undocumented community members with other allies and other undocumented members who they can connect to and build community with. One of the things that we're going to be going over today is I will be going over Immigrants Rising programs and resources, which will give you a wealth of information as to what are some of the things that you can apply and bring into your programming. We're going to also share some knowledge and some learning lessons and ways to be able to give you information and guidance as to how to best share some of these information with your students and community members. And then we're going to go ahead and give an opportunity for some questions. And then we're going to go ahead and transition into our closing. Now, some of our programs and resources, and we know and we want to acknowledge that when we care for ourselves, we are caring for each other, and we believe in collective care. So we want to tap into some of our very first resources that we have in a way in which we try to foster that community care. And one of them is the community support that we provide through our mental health programming and our mental health resources. One of them is our mental health connector, which I'll go ahead and share a little bit more about. We also have wellness support groups. And another component of our work is higher education and career resources. So I'm going to be going over some of the programming that we have that can support and foster undocumented students' ability to be able to pursue higher education in California, as well as exploring their career options. At the other layer of our work is the economic mobility resources, in which I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about our entrepreneurship work, presentations, and resources that we have. And our approach to this work is to make sure that we're providing a holistic support to undocumented students, where our resources feel and can tap into that holistic need for our community members. Now, mental health and wellness is a collective effort. One of the things that we have learned through our organization and through our services is that mental health should never be the last thing on our to-do list. Many times when undocumented communities and immigrant communities are navigating day-to-day life, when they're navigating day-to-day interactions, there's an overwhelming sense of fear, concern, and most importantly, uncertainty. And so our organization, one of the great resources that we have at our very accessible reach is our wellness support groups. Our wellness support groups are closed, peer-shaped groups where undocumented folks get to connect, reflect, and build community. And these groups are led by a trained professional licensed therapist who is able to provide this sense of community, which are organized and led and centered around folks' direct experience with what they're navigating today. Now, this is a service that we have available nationally, and it is available for folks who are undergraduate students who have an undocumented status, who are enrolled in a college or university, who are 18 years or older, and are also comfortable with English and are able to access a device for virtual sessions. All of these sessions happen virtually, and folks get to take part in 6-week sessions in which they have the opportunity to really tap into that community that many times folks lack and can become very hard to find, especially in a time where folks are afraid to share their status or where there's a lack of trust. And so this is, of course, one of those opportunities to tell people that they are not alone and that there is a community who can understand where they're at and what are the different questions that they're navigating. And we also have our mental health connector. So we know that everyone navigates situations differently, that there's different needs. And so we do not want to neglect the fact that there are community members who need individualized support. And so for that, we have our mental health connector. And this service provides up to 28 free telehealth 101 sessions. And these are led by culturally responsive therapists or formerly undocumented therapists who can really connect to the experience, that can make sure that all of our recipients of the service do not need to go through the process of explaining themselves to a therapist or not having to explain their status, but are coming in ready to connect and ready to be able to address and have an open conversation that is not limiting to their ability to share who they are fully. And so for this service, we do have it available only in California, and it's open to undergraduate students who have an undocumented status, are enrolled in a post-secondary institution, are 18 years or over, they're comfortable in English and also have access to a device for virtual sessions as well. Now, for those of you who have the opportunity to work with students, we know that providing mental health support doesn't end in the 101 session, which is why we went ahead and created a mental health grounding and reflection toolkit. This is a really great opportunity to be able to begin introducing your students, your community members with activities that can begin to foster that sense of wellness through this resource guide, which we will be sharing, and you can access the links through this presentation as well. Now, one of the biggest questions for a lot of folks who are immigrant or might lack work authorization is, what are some of their options after graduating high school? What's next for them? I was formerly undocumented, and when I was in high school, I remember my biggest question was, what is next for me? Do I have to move back to my home country to be able to pursue an education and a career? And this is the biggest question that a lot of undocumented community members and immigrant students are facing today. Can I go to college? Is that an option for me? And changing that narrative and changing the narrative and providing that information that is accurate, that creates a sense of hope and possibility, requires sharing information and resources. And so one of the things that we like to voice and make sure that folks in California know and understand is that students can pursue degrees and they can access state financial aid and institutional aid and private funding here in California. It's a way in which folks are able to access resources that, as we already know, they have, them and their parents have contributed to. Now, one of the most common myths is that there are certain requirements or there are certain myths that make students wonder whether they can in fact go to college. And so we do want to acknowledge the truth about going to college in California for undocumented students. And one of them is that they do not need to be a U.S. citizen to be eligible for in-state tuition, which allows them the opportunity to be able to pay in-state tuition fees that can increase college affordability, that they are able to build their eligibility to be able to go to high school and go to college in order to be able to have access to in-state tuition, as long as the student is well-informed and gets to have that accurate information and working with their educators. There are ways in which folks are able to continue their education through community college, save money, and still get a valuable education. And we have tools available to ensure that students are aware of what it is that they need to do in order to be eligible for in-state tuition and in turn be able to have access to college affordability here in California. I have linked, we have the link to our immigrantsrising.org / in-state tuition tool that you as an educator can access and can help you determine whether the students that you're working with are able to meet the in-state tuition eligibility, as well as helping you determine what is it that a student would need to do and accomplish to be able to make college affordable through in-state tuition. Now, in terms of accessing aid, those students who meet in-state tuition eligibility through AB 540, they're able to access state financial aid. So right now we are launching, and we have launched a I Heart California Dream Act campaign where we want to make sure that students are aware of AB 540 and they're able to understand that there are financial aid options available to them that they can tap into and that they can utilize to make sure that college affordability can be accessible to them, and that way they can continue to pursue their educational careers and their educational goals. If you are an educator who is working closely with students and would like to learn more about in-state tuition and what are some of the eligibility requirements, as well as whether students meet AB 540, you can access our in-state tuition tool through our website. And the beautiful thing is that it can also help you and a student understand what are some of how much can you actually save in in-state tuition by being able to access and meet this requirement. Now, for those students who might be wondering whether college can be an option, we do want to uplift this note to undocumented students, which is that in-state tuition eligibility is available and has expanded to keep the diversity of experiences of immigrant students in mind. The California DREAM Act is still in place, which provides state financial aid to students who meet AB 540 eligibility, but there are scholarships that are available to be able to fund and have access to additional resources and services, and that on-campus support does exist. There is a large network of colleges and universities that have taken the lead and the initiative in starting centers that focus on the needs of undocumented students. And there's a strong commitment from campuses to ensure that students, regardless of their immigration status, are able to thrive within their institutions and reminding them that they're not alone. Here is our list of scholarships and fellowships that you can refer students to. We have compiled a large list of scholarships and fellowships that do not require proof of U.S. citizenship and can be easily sorted out. All of the opportunities that we have due dates within the next 120 days. So you're able to visit this scholarship list and fellowship list on our website to be able to encourage students to continue to expand their financial aid options, funding their education, and also looking into professional development opportunities. Now, in the note of professional development opportunities, once a student goes to college, there's a lot of questions around, well, what's next? What are some of the options for me after I graduate college? I've made it through college, I got accepted, I'm here. Now, how will I be able to actually pursue a career? So within our organization, as we are expanding our work around career exploration, we have learned and identified that there are different ways and different career pathways for folks, regardless of immigration status. Now, for some folks, the next obvious choice might be graduate school. It might be looking into global work. It might be looking into traditional employment that maybe might lead to some sort of employment sponsorship, freelancing, or entrepreneurship. Now, one of the key reminders to our undocumented community and our immigrant community is that they have a wealth of transferable skills, that their skills many times that their skills should not be outshined. One of the things that we would like to remind immigrant students and immigrants overall is that they have a wealth of transferable skills. And we do not want their immigration status to undermine those transferable skills that they do have. That's why we include programming in one of our recommendations to every educator and institution that we work with. We encourage them to create opportunities for students to develop those networking strategies. Many times we know and we understand that sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So creating a network of other professionals and ensuring that undocumented and immigrant students have access to a network will continue to expand their ability to connect and network. The other component is skill development. As an educator and as a practitioner, it's key to make sure that all of your students, regardless of immigration status, have the opportunity to develop skills that can help them build a portfolio or a presence that can make them stand out in the workforce. And another key component that we can't forget is mentorship. Making sure that students have access to mentorships and mentors that are culturally competent, and then also professionals who can really tie and can provide that expertise in those particular industries in which your students might be interested in exploring. Now, we do have our Pursuing a Career landing page, which can be a great starting point for you to check out and explore, where we have every topic related to career access for folks regardless of immigration status. Now, entrepreneurship is one of those pathways. As folks try to navigate, what are some of the ways in which I can pursue a career? A lot of our work focuses on entrepreneurship options. Entrepreneurship is an income generation opportunity for anyone, regardless of immigration status. In order to continue to foster the entrepreneurial mindset and to be able to equip educators and students with the information on how they can pursue entrepreneurship as a viable option to generate income, we have developed Immigrant Biz Hub. Now, Immigrant Biz Hub can help students get the foundation on how to generate income by going over contracting and business startup opportunities. This is something that students can do through a self-paced modules. They're able to receive a certificate when they finish the modules as an incentive for their completion, and they can use these transferable skills across their career journey as well. This is a great opportunity to begin to tap into the expertise, the talents, and the natural skills that a lot of our students and community members have that maybe they haven't tapped into and they haven't explored. Now, for educators and community members, we also have entrepreneurship exploration webinars that you can check out by visiting our website. They can also be found on our Immigrant Biz Hub site, where you're able to identify different webinars and topics that can center around taxes, marketing, e-commerce, and more. And this is a great opportunity for those who are interested in continuing with that entrepreneurial journey and providing them with the access to the information and the resources to be able to take on that next step. Now, being an entrepreneur can feel like a very lonely journey, can feel very confusing, and we understand that it is easier said than done. And that's why as an organization, we've also incorporated 101 technical assistance for those students who have already explored a business idea, who are ready to launch a business, but really want to get some of that additional 101 support. We have free 101 individual consultations available. They're available in English and Spanish, and they're able to get support every step of their entrepreneurship journey by connecting them to a large network of experts that can guide them to answer any questions that they might have as they navigate their journey. If you have questions about this service or are interested in connecting students, you're welcome to email our entrepreneurship team at entrepreneurship@immigrantsrising.org. Now, this is a moment to reflect and to be flexible and resourceful. Things are changing constantly. Things are constantly changing. We're getting new information. And it's really important to, one, normalize diverse pathways. Not everyone will go through the traditional employment route, and it's okay to normalize diverse pathways, especially as the career and the workforce is shifting as well as the society. Second, focus on pathway exploration that is rooted in hope, expansion, and not limitation. try to figure out with a student and with your community members, what is it that we can do? What is possible within what is currently available? And invest that time in exploring and creating resources and community spaces that create a time and opportunity for people to share their knowledge, their expertise, to network, and to be able to identify new ideas and new ways to tap into the potential of our immigrant students across our state. Now, we are very proud to be able to have information and resources within our organization. And also, one of the things that we love the most is making sure that folks have access to that information and resources. So if you're interested in booking a presentation, we do have an Immigrants Rising engagement request that you can submit to be able to provide additional trainings to your staff, to your community members, to ensure that they're able to have access to the information that they need to be able to take that next step in taking care of their wellness, pursuing an education, and being able to pursue a career that allows them to not only tap into their full potential, but also allows them to be able to contribute to our communities. If you would like to stay updated and get access to email updates, you can sign up to our newsletter, immigrantsrising.org/sign up. And we'll be happy to send you more information about resources, which will be beneficial for you to continue to learn. And stay in community. Follow us on Immigrants Rising's Instagram page, on LinkedIn. You can also explore our website and also send us an email at info@immigrantsrising.org if you would like to have access to additional information and resources. Now, throughout these years and throughout the time, many times there's a lot of question as to what is possible. And you as an educator, you might feel the pressure of having all of the answers and wanting to have all of the answers. As someone who was formerly undocumented, I remember sitting in my economics class. This class was led by my economics teacher, Mr. Spalding. And I remember sitting in that classroom. I was a straight-A student, and I was very good with Excel sheets. And I remember one of our senior projects was to create a budget as to how much it was going to cost for us to go to the university we had been accepted to. I had been accepted to UC Santa Cruz, and I had no idea that I was eligible for in-state tuition, which means that my budget turned out to have a very big, large negative number in terms of how much I needed to be able to afford going to UC Santa Cruz. My educator, Mr. Spalding, comes up to me and he says, "Why does your budget look like this?" I had never come out to anybody, and I had never shared my immigration status with anyone, not even with my best friend. And he was the very first person who I said, "I don't have a social security number because I was not born in this country." He meets up with me after class. I'm nervous. And during one of our meetings, he said, "I'm going to help you out. There is someone who is willing to support a student like you." I come back. I learn about in-state tuition. He picks up the phone and he says, "It's a lot less than what we had expected." He hangs up the phone and says, "This donor is willing to pay for your 4 years at UC Santa Cruz." Now, you do not need to have all of the answers, but do you need to be willing to listen to the students, their needs, and being able to identify that there are people out there who will have the information and the resources that not only you need, but that your students will need to be able to get them to that next stage.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rocio. It was amazing presentation and services you're offering in Immigrants Rising. It's incredible work you do, and it's truly inspiring to see how these resources open the doors for so many immigrants. And also the mental health aspect, during their pursuing education and support newcomers and immigrants with mental health is very important. And I'm impressed by different services it offers in, during this process to find the resources, even after graduation, to create a pathway to be able to obtain a different tracks and learn more in deep on each of them. So it was really inspiring. And I would, of course, we will be sharing all these links with the community. We'll be sharing links which you all mentioned during this presentation under our video, so you can find in description and contact information. And we really appreciate your time and knowledge and resources you shared with us today. Thank you so much, Rocio. And